Hey y'all, Brienne here. I literally just got my yARNaBLE box in the mail today. I was super excited, so I went ahead and took a peek. And so let me show you what the May 2020 yARNaBLE box looks like. So first in our box, we have a little organza bag that holds all the extra goodies. Let's see what we have. All right. The postcard, one side shows a picture of the yarn. On the other side, the May 2020 yarn is called Spring Love, and then it tells you the extra goodies, which we have a 20-gram mini skein from Arkansas Yarn, and we have a Notions tin with a light bulb stitch markers. Along the bottom is the website. You can go to the website, or if you have a smartphone, you can scan the QR code to directly go to the website to find out more information about the extras, and you will also find links to the extras there in case you're interested. So the first goodie is the 20-gram mini skein from Arkansas Yarn. I don't know about y'all, but this makes me really want some watermelon, or maybe like a watermelon Bellini. Doesn't that sound good? And the yarn is a sparkle base. There you go. You can see some of the sparkles. The sparkles are not overpowering. It's just really light and minimal. And this would make the most beautiful heels and toes of a sock. It's gorgeous. So the specs for the yarn, you can see on the little tag, maybe. There you go. Can you read that? So it's 75% merino wool, 20% nylon, 5% stellina, which is what gives you the speckles. It's 20 grams and has 87 yarns. 87 yarns? No, it has 87 yards. So wash cold, lay flat to dry, and that's from Arkansas Yarn Co. You can find her link on the inside yARNaBLE, or you can just Google Arkansas Yarn Co. to find her website. All right, what else we have is the Notions tin. It's just a nickel twist top tin. If you have like a sticker or something, it would be really cute to put a sticker on top. And inside we have lots of these light bulb pens. So it's exactly like a safety pin, but it's in the shape of a light bulb, and they are really awesome if you count rows, and if you mark every 5th or 10th row or something like that, just to stick it on, because they're lightweight. They're not gonna pull your stitch. Or to make round ring stitch markers into more of a progress keeper. These are, you can just hook it on the ring, or I guess you could replace it if you wanted to, and then it turns into a progress keeper. Another option is if your project bag has like an interior zip pocket or something like that, you can put this on your zipper, on the zipper pull, and then you can add in your stitch markers as a safe place to keep them, and then you don't lose them. So these are really handy to have around, and there's a bunch in here. Oh no, and all different colors. There's a whole rainbow, silver and gold and white and pink and green and purple and yellow, all different colors, and there's a bunch, like so many, like a ton. All right. The last thing in our little organza bag, which I think the organza bags are an extra goodie in itself, because I reuse them as to give us little gifts when I'm gift giving. I can put stuff in there and I can just reuse it. All right, so the last thing in our organza bag is the discount coupon. And I already scratched mine off. I had 10% off. All right, let's put all this in. So this month's yarn, I got what's wrong with me? Fingering weights sock yarn is what I was trying to say. which is 85% merino wool, 15% nylon, 437 yards for the 100 grams. And I already wound and twisted it. So what we have is a super light purple, almost a mauve. I would call it a blush mauve. It's definitely has a bit of a pink hue. And then in that section we have a bunch of deep purple and a few blue speckles. And then that turns into this very light gray blue section with purple and blue speckles. Let me turn around so you can see the speckles. So there's the speckles on those. There are a few green speckles along in just a couple of sections. Super pretty. This reminds me kind of a lighter version of January, the Sugar Plum. That's been one of my favorites. I've made a hat with the January colorway, and I actually made a sweater vest. And I believe I had that in a blog post. If you haven't checked those out, January, the Sugar Plum was definitely one of my favorites so far. And this reminds me of that. I mean, there are different colors in it, but maybe it's just the purples and the blues kind of remind me of that. So I think this is going to be super pretty worked up. And as usual, I'm going to get it on my Swift and winder. And I don't know if I will start a project or if I'll just knit up a little swatch for you to see. I'll be back in a little bit. Hey everyone, we're back, and I have the May yARNaBLE skein wound, and I started working on a project. If you were in the Hypnotic Yarn Facebook group, back at the very beginning of January, I had a post that encouraged everyone to come up with 12 different projects that they wanted to make in 2020, and I called it my 12 for 2020. And so with this skein, I decided to knit up one of those projects that were in my wish to make for this year. And the pattern is called, oh no, do I not have it written down? I don't, because I only printed one page. But I'll get that information. I will put it in the list. Basically, it's a beret. So here is what the yarn looks like wound. And I love this dyeing method. I have no idea what it's called. Maybe Cheryl does, or maybe there's no name. I have no idea. I don't know that much about the dyeing process. But basically, it's kind of this is a variegated yarn, because if you remember in the skein, it had two colors, two main base colors. One was kind of this gray blue, they're mowing, sorry, and the other side was like kind of this mauve light purple color, and then on top of that was all of the speckles. And I love how that style always turned out. Cheryl had dyed, this was years ago, it was an OOAK, but she had called it Victorian hairpin, and it was very much the same style as this. And I made a hat with it, which I don't have. It's in my bedroom. I should have brought it up. But this is probably one of my favorite ways that she dyes it, because of how it works up. It's just really nice, and the colors are always very broken and random, and it just looks really good. So my project, I'm making a beret. I am holding it double because I have fingering weight yarn. The pattern calls for DK. So I am holding it double, which does in general make a yarn look maybe a little bit darker. And then of course it breaks up the colors even more, and it is your basic seed stitch. But I am really loving how this yarn looks knitted up, and I can't wait to finish. I'm about not quite halfway done with the beret, and what is pretty cool about this pattern is that you make it even longer and slouchier than normal because you twist and you end up having like a little knot. Here's a picture of what it looks like in the ends. So you can tell, and off the top of my head, I cannot remember the name of the pattern or the name of the designer, but I will put it below in the information. I only printed out the instructions, so I don't remember. So here is what it looks like knitted, or at least in my project, with yARNaBLE in this pattern. I think it's going to be gorgeous. These are probably some of my favorite colors. Purple and green are my favorites. So you can kind of imagine, look how good that's going to be. It's going to be amazing. And if you have the January colorway Sugar Plum, and you haven't used it, I do think these two skeins, well, Sugar Plum, the January colorway, and the May colorway would be beautiful together and very complementary of each other in a shawl or in a fade or something like that. I think they would look really, really good together. All right, so I will see you all next month for June. See you soon.